Okay, Mac, let's start with the game of the weekend. And actually, I want to start with this Miami, Florida State, obviously, which we've broken down all week. We didn't really get into the fact that, and I know the huddle's going to be in Tallahassee, and that's what matters. But game day going to Bama Vandy, I feel like the disrespect for this game. Like, I saw someone put this out there that we, as a college football universe, and of course as the ACC, have been collectively waiting for both these programs to be good at the same time for 20 years. And then it finally happens, and it's like it's not being treated that way. It's
Yeah.
frustrating.
It is, it's pretty typical, pretty standard
Mm,
practice.
is it now?
Bizarre. I mean, I don't understand it at all, but hey, more room for us,
Good.
more
More room
fans
for the
for
huddle.
us. And let me tell you something, Knowles, show up, show out, and let's prove to them why they should have been here. That's what I hope to see. And Florida State, I gotta give them love from an administrative standpoint. They're pushing it like crazy. So I very much appreciate that. And Knowles, if you're listening, get your butt to where you need to be. Go on Twitter, go on TikTok, go on Instagram. It's all there. We'll tell you where to be. And we're going to have a good time. We'll maybe get you on TV too. So we need you there. But I just kind of sat back and laughed and said, of course,
Yeah.
that's where they go.
Rolled
Why,
my
why
eye.
would you, where would you go here? So anyway, I hope it's like just an onslaught and it's just a waste of time. But Herbie's calling the game. He's flying back to call the game anyway. So I don't know. It's weird.
That's crazy. That's crazy. There's
Seems to be a
nothing
waste of
about,
resources,
yeah,
emissions and all that. Don't we care about that?
there's nothing about Vandy Bama that gets me more excited than Miami, Florida State. All right, let's make our picks on this game, Mac, and we can kind of give some final thoughts. We talked about it all week, and go check out those episodes. My keys in this one, I think for Miami, and we actually saw a lot of Miami fans talking about it in our Carson Beck episode when Tommy Castellano said, I'm not worried about my O line against that D line. Is that true, right? Does that come to fruition? That's my big question. Is this D line really the best in the country? Is Ruben Bain the best player in the country? Like, can they wreak that much havoc? And we are coming off a game where Tommy had some bad turnovers. Like, can they do that, speed him up? That can be a big issue for Miami. And then on the flip side for Florida State, that red zone defense, I mean, I think that's just huge. The red zone in general, because Florida State's been very good offensively in the red zone, defensively, not as good. Those are, if I had to pick a couple keys, those are really important, I think, in this game.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's any doubt about that. And I think when you look matchup wise, okay, what's something to pay attention to? Clearly, the Florida State defensive line versus this Miami offensive line is a huge deal. Like if I'm Mario Cristobal, if I'm Alex Mirabal, offensive line coach, if I am Francis Maui Noah and the boys up front, these running backs, Carson, I'm watching that Virginia tape and I am like salivating,
Sure.
saying, do you know what we're about to do to these cats? Like we are going to hammer them up front if that's what we see out there. Which again, maybe it was FSU disrespecting Virginia, maybe it was them looking ahead to Miami, all these different things. Whatever it is, it's here now. All the excuses you want to say of whatever, it's here. And I look at those safeties, the way that they didn't tackle, didn't wrap up, and extra yardage was to be had. I think they're excited about and what they're going to be able to do. And, can they, in turn with that, manage the game, make the game shorter, run the ball at will, 3 yards here, 4 yards here, long, nasty drives, like Virginia did. Virginia had multiple 7, 8 minute drives that resulted in touchdowns. And that's tough. That's kind of frustrating for an offense that wants to go fast and wants to be out there in Florida State. So that I think is a really good defensive tactic, is just dragging out, these drives and shortening the game and shortening the amount of possessions for Florida State. The other matchup on the other side, when you look at Tommy's boys up front and how are they going to be ready for the
Mhm.
best defensive line that they've gone against. Now, I think they're certainly skilled enough, but, when you see Ruben Bain, who I believe is the best player in college football, who is very
Monster.
versatile, that can line up as a 3 technique, which is over a guard, can line up wide as a 9 technique or a 7 technique, which is outside, of the offensive tackle there. Those kind of things that's tough, to see that. Then on the other side, you got, Blay and Keem Mesidor and others that just kind of rotate in, Scott into that 4th spot there. So this defensive line is loaded and they're very, very good. So seeing both sides of the line of scrimmage to me is going to be fascinating. Then you look at the quarterbacks and you look at, okay, do they want to go shot for shot against each other? Do they want to not be outperformed, by the other? And Tommy has obviously been a little bit more explosive, especially with the things that he can do on the ground. And so, if Ruben gets a little excited, if Keem gets a little excited and over pursues, see ya. This guy's, out the gate. And you just have to be really careful to that. So I feel like I'm like going all over the board. So
No,
in
but you're right
turn,
though about the mobility. That's an
yeah,
interesting
yeah.
piece.
It will be. So in turn, is that keep making, Ruben Bain not the same guy that he knows have to just get to this spot and wait? It's going to be a fascinating chess match, just from those lines of scrimmage and to see what these quarterbacks do. And then you heard Tommy saying, I think it's even. It's going to be the perimeter. Who can win on the perimeter? And that goes for both sides. I think the guys that Florida State, or excuse me, Miami brought in to go along with OJ Frederick have been fantastic. Does OJ follow Deuce around all day? Like, is that his matchup? That would be kind of fun to watch, to be
It
honest. And
was.
and then on the other side, Earl Little, how much is he paying attention to Malachi Tony if he's in the slot and moving around for the Miami offensive side. So there are a ton, and that's why this game is so impactful. That's why this game is so big. Literally, point anywhere you want to go. There are massive, massive things that you have to pay attention to. All the while, Florida State maybe has their best running back, though we haven't seen all year, except for maybe a couple of plays against Alabama. So it is going to be really interesting. And if you can't tell, I am thrilled to be at this game.
I want to ask it from this perspective, Mac, from an ACC perspective. Okay, big picture. What's better for the league? Because I think it's better if Florida State wins the game because a 2-loss team coming from the ACC, I mean, we'll see what else happens outside of the league, but it almost feels like, okay, if each of these teams has 1 loss, then if they play again in the ACC title, then that's your second loss. Perhaps you can get in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is
If we're looking
interesting.
ahead.
You look at the rest of the way, for Florida State, they still play a decent Pitt team. They play Clemson, which still a logo, still a brand. We'll see if that means anything later from a record standpoint. They play Virginia Tech, who is undefeated in conference play right now, and
That's
then they're at Florida
yep.
at the end of the season there. Miami, when you look at who they play the rest of the way, has Louisville, I believe on a Friday night. They
Yep,
have
that's big.
SMU, and they have at Virginia Tech and at Pittsburgh as well. So there's no like massive marquee game for either of them, which is crazy with Clemson still on the schedule for Florida State in regards to a team that's ranked in regards to a game that is going to give you a ton of juice and be the talk of the nation in regards to that. Like, this is that moment. You have to wait probably for the ACC championship to have another one of those for either team. So I go back and forth from like a business sense. You probably do want Florida State to win because that positions you the best to have multiple bids at the end of the year. Probably whoever wins this game, loser's not going to be in the ACC championship. So if that team can just run the table the rest of the way, they're just sitting there
That's
pretty.
a good point too.
Like we've seen multiple SEC teams and Big Ten teams kind of have that favor. But you also wouldn't be mad about having the number one team in the country from poll to poll that comes out. And is that the Miami Hurricanes? And just having one super elite bad team that's just going to run through everybody. So I go back and forth. From a business perspective, it probably would be nice for Florida State to win.
Yeah. Both are good though, because here's the thing. I mean, both outcomes are okay because we talk about this ad nauseum every August, Mac, and it actually came true this year that Florida State and Miami handled their business in the non-conference, so they have some leeway. If Notre Dame continues to look like they do and wins out, if Bama wins out, that really helps
Well, actually,
both of these.
KG, Paul Feinbaum told me that win doesn't matter anymore. I don't know if
Sure,
you saw
sure.
that.
Well,
Paul, why
thankfully
don't
he's
you
not
go
on the
get in
committee.
politics and get out of the sport, buddy? We'll be cool with that.
All right, let's make our picks because we got to talk for some reason about Clemson, North Carolina, and some of
Come
these other games.
on. You see this
So
tiger behind me?
I'm so out. I'm so out, Mac. I'm so just like, oh, okay.
You haven't even been in yet. You got to suffer with me a little bit here.
It's true. It's true. I haven't even really been here, and I'm still out on this team. Um, Mac, when I look at this game, I really think that the lines of scrimmage aren't as even as people are saying. and that's why I give Miami the advantage on both
Okay.
lines of scrimmage. So, even though this game's at Florida State, 7:30 ABC, I think we saw some serious weaknesses for FSU against Virginia. Give me the Canes and give me Miami to
Mm.
cover the 4.5.
Mm. Wow.
Miami
See,
fans,
this is
love me now.
I love that you're diving into the trenches here. This is big
Got
time.
to.
And you might be right. I think Miami has the best, lines of scrimmage, offense and defense in the country. Um, but there is something about the proof in the pudding. Like Florida State's running on anybody and everybody. Even last week, the offense still looked fine. Like outside of turnovers, the offense was still really good and able to run the football. Now, again, I do think this is the best line that they will have gone against to point, and they've played Bama, right? Like that's a big deal. Um, when you see the activity in Ruben Bain and the things that he's able to do. But with that said, do I trust a mobile quarterback? Do I trust a guy that can move around, who's confident, talking his talk, walking his walk? Like he just gets superpowers. He starts going, this guy plays at a different level. Maybe we should have done that for Virginia. We should have talked a little more
Exactly.
trash and got locked in there. I don't know. But then you see like the very business-like pro model that is Miami. And I mean, these guys are operating like an NFL team and they're playing and handling their business of we're going to go out there, we're going to walk down the field, we're going to score, we're going to play good defense, and we're going to get out of here and we're going to go home with a win. So it is a fascinating thing to see. The other part that is a super X factor, and I think you and I touched on this yesterday a lot, or a couple days ago. It's Miami's first road game.
Yeah.
It is a crazy environment. It is going to be loud. It's going to be obnoxious. And I know that Carson Beck has played in any other stadium and maybe some that are significantly louder and bigger, but everybody else hasn't. Malachi Tony hasn't. These other linemen haven't. And you still have to communicate and
Mm.
talk and get out what you need to get out. And I might go Canes money line or excuse me, Florida State money line. I just killed
Really?
the point of that. I think I
Interest
might go Florida State. I think that there's a lot of juice.
Okay.
I think they were looking forward to this game. And I think there's something to the challenge that they have felt. They lost the game. They've been in that situation that Miami really hasn't yet. With that said, I wouldn't be shocked if Miami wins by 15, something of that nature.
Who are
But
you
give me the
picking, Where's
Knowles.
McLean?
Give me the Knowles money line.
I
I
love
don't
this.
need points. I'm taking the dub.
You don't even need points, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's
I
go.
love that we're divided here. This game is just
Terrifying. Don't look at my record. Miami fans, you should feel pretty good.